Last June, I finished teaching my sixth online masterclass of the year, the Confidence Code. It went really well. I felt energized. I felt engaged. I had worked hard for it. I answered questions. There were so many people there, and I thanked everyone. And it just felt really good. And then I went and closed my laptop, and I went to stand up, and both my legs were completely numb. I wasn't super worried at the time. I thought maybe I had pinched a nerve, or maybe I sat for too long, or, maybe I sat in the wrong position. And I thought maybe I can just sleep this off. But that was not the case. The next morning, I woke up, my legs were still numb. And another day, and another day, and then weeks became months, and then months became more than a year. I want to say thankfully today they're finally starting to come back, which I'm very excited about. But that moment changed my life because for the very first time, I couldn't push through. My body made that decision for me. It forced me to ask, what is my body trying to tell me? And I wish I had known that immediately, and I didn't. I was very frustrated and I was super scared, super scared. My mind went to every little thing that could be wrong with me. And I kept asking, what is wrong with me? Until eventually I realized I was asking the wrong question. The better question became, what has my body been trying to tell me that I haven't been willing to hear? That question changed my world. Looking back, I don't believe this started last June. In fact, I know it started 11 years earlier. See, 11 years ago, after being married for 10 years, my husband decided to leave our marriage. And overnight, my entire future changed. I went from being a stay-at-home mom to two beautiful children to no career, no more. I had a huge mortgage, bills to pay, and my entire future was suddenly mine to rebuild. To say I was scared would be putting it way too lightly. So, like so many women, I became the strong one. And my soundtrack became, I'll figure this out. I'll make this work. I'll keep going. I don't have another choice. And for years and years, I lived that way. And still, until I started wondering, why do some people survive really hard, challenging seasons and come out stronger, and while others slowly disappear inside them? That question became an obsession for me. So I spent years studying coaching, health, hypnosis, neuroscience, identity, not only to rebuild my own life, but to help other people rebuild theirs. So if we haven't met, my name is Nicole Cowley. I'm an identity and internal wealth mentor. I help people reconnect with who they are beneath their expectations, their responsibilities, their stories. Because I believe our strongest foundation isn't external success, it's the relationship we have with ourselves. Over the years, I've worked with CEOs, business owners, professionals, mothers, caregivers. Every story I had with people was different. Every story that came in was different. But one pattern kept showing up. Somewhere they had quietly disappeared from their own lives, taking care of everyone else and everything else while leaving themselves behind. And the interesting part was I could see it so clearly in them as I was working with them. I just couldn't see it in myself until my body decided to stop me. That's when I realized something I could not ignore, and that is maybe burnout isn't simply about doing too much. Maybe it's about who we've believed we had to become while doing it. That realization changed everything for me. And I knew something had to change, not just what I was doing, but the stories that I was living from. Stories like I always have to be strong. I can't make a mistake. I can never rest. I always have to keep going. I have to carry it all. And as those stories started to change, I slowly started including myself in my own life again. And today, that's what I would love to explore with you, not through just another class, but through an experience, because that's how I believe we learn, and that's how I believe we transform. So I would love if you have a notebook nearby or a piece of paper and a pen. I would love you to grab it because we're going to go through an experience today that's all going to be about you. And throughout our time together, I'm going to ask you a few questions, and there are no perfect answers, only honest ones. That's all I ask from you is honest ones. So let's begin. At the top of your page, I want you to write, what feels heavy in my life right now? What feels heavy in my life right now? And then I want you just to answer it. And please don't edit yourself and you don't have to choose the right answer. This is a completely private moment with you and you. And your honesty is what will make it meaningful. Just write the first thing that comes to mind. I'm going to give you a moment to write, so please do. All right. We started by identifying what is feeling heavy. And before we go any further, I want you to simply look at what you wrote. Just take a look at it. No judgment. There's nothing you need to fix. Just notice what you wrote. Maybe this is one of the first times you've really written it down. Maybe you wrote something about your work. Maybe you wrote something about your finances, your marriage. Maybe it was about your health or the health of someone you love. Maybe it is about your business, being a caregiver. Or maybe you didn't even write about a circumstance at all. Maybe you wrote, my whole life is what is heavy. Whatever came up, it's 100% okay. Now, I would like you to become curious, just curious right now. Because when we carry something long enough, we often stop noticing how heavy it has become, and it simply becomes normal. Until we put a spotlight on it, it sometimes just becomes normal. I want you to think about carrying a heavy purse or a heavy backpack. At first, you notice, like, oh, that is so heavy, right? You pick it up and it's so heavy. And then after a few hours, you notice your shoulders. Your shoulders really start to hurt. But what is interesting is at the end of the day, often we've almost forgotten we're even carrying it. And it's not because it's not heavy, it's because we've adapted to the weight. And I think so many of us have done exactly that with our lives. We've adapted to the heavy things in our life. So I want you to look at what you wrote. What is heavy, the circumstance or the responsibility? And I want you to ask yourself on a scale of 1 to 10, how heavy does this honestly feel? Not how heavy it should feel, but I really want you to answer how heavy does it feel for you? and just write that number down right beside what you wrote. How heavy does it feel for you on a scale of 1 to 10? And now I want to ask you another question. How long have you been carrying this? Has it been weeks, months, years? Just write that down too. How long have you been carrying it? Because what sometimes surprises us isn't what we're carrying, it's how long we have been carrying it. Now, I'd like you to do something. If you feel comfortable, I would love you to just slowly close your eyes for one moment. And I want you just to take a beautiful deep inhale through your nose and an exhale, keeping your eyes closed. And I want you to quietly repeat to yourself what you just wrote. What feels heavy? The number you gave it. Just repeat that to yourself. And then I want you to simply notice what is happening inside your body. Just notice. Maybe your shoulders became tightened or they're up by your ears. Maybe your chest felt heavy. Maybe you felt some nausea, your stomach clenched, your jaw may have become tense. Maybe you noticed yourself take a deep breath. Our bodies often tell us what is happening long before we're ready to admit it. And that's exactly what happened to me. For years, my body was whispering, slow down, slow down. And I just kept getting busier and busier until eventually it got so loud. Maybe your body has been whispering to you too. And maybe today is simply the first time you've stopped long enough to listen to what it is saying. And before we move on, I'd love you to remember something. Feeling heavy about your circumstances or your responsibility doesn't mean that you're weak, doesn't mean you can't do things, it doesn't mean you're failing, it doesn't mean you're doing life wrong. Sometimes it simply means you've been carrying something for far too long. So far we've explored what feels heavy, but now I'd like us to explore why it feels so heavy. Because I have a feeling there may be more to this than we realize. All right, we've identified what's heavy, how heavy it feels, how long you may have been carrying it, and maybe where you felt it in your body. And I'd like you to look at what you wrote one more time. Just read it one more time. Notice again the number you gave it. Remember how long you've been carrying it. Notice where you felt it in your body. And I want you to get curious again. Because I don't believe it's only our circumstances that become heavy. I believe with everything in me, it's the story we've been carrying about those circumstances. And before we go any further, I want to be super clear. I'm not suggesting that your responsibilities aren't real. They are. Some of you are caring for aging parents, raising children on your own. You're grieving a loss, carrying financial pressure, navigating a very difficult relationship. And I am not asking you for one moment to pretend those things don't exist. I'm simply inviting you to notice something else. I think there's an important difference between the circumstance, what happened to us, what we're living in, and the story. what we come to believe, what we've come to believe about it because it happened. Whenever something difficult happens in our lives, our minds naturally begin making meaning out of it. We're meaning making machines. And when we repeat the meaning, those thoughts over and over again, they stop feeling like thoughts and they begin to feel like truth. So I want you to ask yourself right now, when I think about this circumstance in my life, this responsibility, this heaviness, what do I keep saying to myself? And I don't want you to answer from a place of what you wished you believe about the circumstance. Listen for what you've been actually repeating. It's those little whispers that you don't even want anybody to know, or the ones that you hear and you're just like, oh, that's my truth. I want you to listen for what you've been actually repeating. And maybe it's, I don't have a choice. It's all on me. I have to be the strong one. I can't let anyone down. I can't make a mistake. I can't fail. If I don't do this, no one else will. I can't ask for help. I just have to keep going. This is just how my life is. Or your words may be completely different. There isn't a right answer, only your answer. But I want you to write down right now what you say to yourself about your situation all the time. I'm going to give you a moment and just write it down. Now, this may be the belief that's been shaping how you've carried this part of your life. And I want you just to take a look at it, circle it, put a check mark beside it, and just be so proud of yourself for being honest about it. We're going to circle back to it later, but I want you to have it visible for you. Now, I want you just to think about the words you just wrote down, maybe what you circled. And I want you to ask yourself, how long have I been saying this to myself? Have I been saying it for weeks, months, years, decades? Just notice, how long have I been saying this about this situation in my life? How long have I been holding that story? Because when we've repeated something for long enough, it's no wonder it, it begins to feel true. Feels so true. For years, I kept telling myself, I have to be strong. I can't fail. I can't make a mistake. Everything's on me. Everything depends on me. I have to keep going. I'm the only one. And eventually, those weren't just thoughts anymore. They had become the lens through which I saw my life. And that's what I want you to see today. Our circumstances shape our lives, but the stories about those circumstances we repeat on repeat all the time shape how we live them. They influence the choices we make, the help we never ask for, the boundaries we never set, until one day we're no longer responding only to today's reality. We're responding to a story we've been rehearsing for years. But here is the hopeful part. If those stories were learned, they can also be questioned and relearned, not by denying your reality, not by pretending life is not challenging, but by recognizing this, that you may not get to choose every circumstance life gives you, but you can begin choosing the beliefs you carry alongside those circumstances. I'm going to repeat that again. You may not get to choose every circumstance life gives you. We know that. But you can begin choosing the beliefs you carry alongside those circumstances. Now, I think we've uncovered something really important. Not just what you've been carrying, but the belief that has been shaping how you've been carrying it. I want you to stay with what you wrote. There's no changing or judging it. It's totally fine. Just notice it. Those words have more than likely been influencing your life far more than you've realized. And I now want you to get curious again. And I want you to ask yourself, what has believing those thoughts, what I just wrote down, been costing me? What has that been costing me? Believing I'm the only one to do the thing, I can't fail, everything depends on me, I can't rest. What has it been costing you? And write that down. Maybe it's been costing you your energy, your peace, your sleep, your health, your joy. Has it been costing you time with the people that you love? Because your mind is always thinking about everything that still needs to get done. Has it been costing you the courage to ask for help? The ability to rest without feeling guilty? Or maybe more importantly, has it been costing you you? Just feel into that for a moment. What has this been costing you? Now, I want you to ask yourself another question here. When I believe these thoughts, who do I become? Who do I become when I believe these thoughts? Do I become someone who feels they have to carry everything alone? Who quietly leaves themselves out while taking care of everybody else? Who believes rest has to be earned? Do I become somebody who feels like nothing is ever finished? Somebody who can never ever relax? Just notice who you become as you believe these things. Take a moment to write it down. Who do I become? I'll give you a moment. Okay, now before we go any further, I want to acknowledge something. Some of you may be thinking, I don't know another way. I know that has been me. I have heard it come out of my mouth more times than I want to admit. And if that's true, you're not alone. Because when we've practiced the same belief for years, it stops feeling like a belief and it simply feels like our reality, our truth. So I'm not asking you to suddenly believe something different. And I'm certainly not asking you to pretend your responsibilities aren't real. Many of them are. Some of you are truly carrying an incredible amount. I'm simply inviting you to become open to one possibility. Is the story you've been telling yourself about these responsibilities, about these circumstances, the only story that's available to you? Is it the only story available to you? After my marriage ended, I really was the only parent making the decisions. I really was the only one paying the bills over here. I really was the one rebuilding our future. Those responsibilities were real. But alongside those responsibilities, I had another story that I had to do this by myself. I have to be the strong one. I can't let anybody see me struggle. I can't fail. I have to keep pushing through. And for years, I never questioned those thoughts. I believed they were simply the truth. Then one day, I realized something. It wasn't only my responsibilities that were exhausting me, it was the way I believed I had to carry them. That realization didn't make my life easier, didn't suddenly make everything easier. I still had my children to raise. I still had bills to pay and a business that I was building. But it changed the questions I started asking. Instead of believing I had to do everything all by myself, I started to ask, who could help me and how can I help myself? Who can help me and how can I help myself? That question was so important to changing my life because little by little, my life started to change. I began to ask my kids to help out more with the house. I started to go to bed earlier. I started to take longer walks because I enjoyed them. I stopped believing that my rest had to be earned and I started to rest. I booked doctor appointments that were needed, chiropractic appointments that were needed because my body needed support. I hired coaches and leaned on coaches to help me move through this phase. I leaned on trusted friends that I felt safe to tell them about my life and what I was going through. And I stopped believing I needed to have every single answer myself. Little by little, I stopped trying to prove that I could carry it all and started looking for the village that had been there all along. My responsibilities, they didn't necessarily disappear, but the weight began to change. So today isn't about pretending your responsibilities don't exist. Many of them are very real. This is about asking, what beliefs have I been carrying alongside those responsibilities? What beliefs have I been carrying alongside those responsibilities? Because those are two very different things. Your responsibilities may still be here, but perhaps not every belief you've attached to them needs to come with you, needs to play out. And I don't want today just to stay in your mind. I want you to experience something because I told you at the beginning, I believe experience is how we transform. Information can change the way we think, but experience can change the way we see ourselves. And that's where lasting change really begins. So rather than simply talking about the beliefs that you've been carrying, I'd like to invite you to experience what it feels like to set some of them down, even if it's just for a few moments. So right now, I would love to put you through a visualization, one I've used for myself and my clients that have really helped us have a new awareness and a new feeling, being able to set down some of the stories that we've been carrying. So if you're comfortable, I would love you to slowly close your eyes. Just move your hips and your shoulders, relaxing your body, and just take a deep, slow breath in through your nose. Pause that breath right there at the top. And exhale through your mouth. Let's do that again. Take a deep breath in through your nose. Pause that breath right there at the top. And slowly exhale through your mouth. Allow your shoulders to soften. Allow your jaw to relax. Relax the muscles in and around your eyes. There's nowhere else you need to be right now. Nothing you need to solve. Simply just allow yourself to be here now. Now, I'd love you to imagine that in front of you, there is a large mirror. As you look into that mirror, you see yourself looking back. Observe yourself with kindness. No judgment, just curiosity. Just look at yourself now. As you continue looking, you notice something. You may have not noticed this before, but you're wearing a backpack. You begin to notice how full that backpack is, how deeply the straps are pressed into your shoulders, how much effort it has taken to carry it. Your shoulders have slowly rounded forward. Your breath is tighter. And there's nothing wrong with you right now. It's only because you've been carrying so much for such a long time. Take a slow breath in. I want you to gently release that backpack from your shoulders and place it slowly on the ground in front of you. Notice how your body feels without that weight resting on it. The backpack is still there. Many of your responsibilities are still there. But perhaps not everything inside it truly belongs there anymore. Now I want you to slowly bend over and unzip the backpack. Notice inside there are rocks. Each one represents a belief you have been carrying alongside your responsibilities. Perhaps one says, I have to do everything. Another, I can't let anybody down. Perhaps another says, if I stop, everything will fall apart. Or I have to be the strong one. And perhaps one of the rocks has the very words you wrote down today engraved on it. I want you to reach in to the backpack and hold that rock in your hands. Feel its weight. And then quietly ask yourself, is this a belief I want to keep carrying? If the answer is no, gently place it on the ground beside you. Not with anger and not with judgment, just simply recognizing you no longer need to carry this belief alongside your responsibilities. Now let's continue. One belief at a time. One choice at a time. Setting down every belief you're ready to release today. With each rock, the backpack becomes lighter, and so do you. Now, before you place it back on your shoulders, notice the space inside the backpack. Your responsibilities may still exist. Life may still ask things of you, but you no longer have to make those responsibilities heavier by carrying every old belief alongside them. So when you're ready, lift the backpack again. Notice how different it feels. Place it gently back on your shoulders. And notice your body. Notice what feels different. Not because life suddenly changed, but because there is less weighing you down. Now I want you to look into the mirror once more. Really take a look. Without those beliefs pressing so heavily against you, who do you see looking back? Take your time. Look into your eyes. This is the person who has been carrying so much and yet never stopped being worthy of the same care they give everyone else. Stay with that person for a few moments. Just simply notice what stands out to you. What have you forgotten about yourself that you're remembering now? Take one slow breath in and exhale. Now imagine this version of you could tell you one thing, just one thing. What would this version of you most want you to remember today? You don't need to search for the answer. Simply just listen. Notice whatever words or feeling or quiet knowing comes to you. Whatever came to you, hold on to those words. They may be the truth you've always known, but never given yourself permission to believe. Take another breath in and exhale slowly. Whenever life begins to feel heavy again, remember these words. Remember your responsibilities may still be there, but you don't have to carry them with every old belief you attach to them. Remember the person looking back at you in the mirror, the person who has always been there, quietly waiting to be included again. Take one final breath and start bringing awareness back into the room. Notice the chair supporting you, maybe your feet on the floor. Gently move your fingers and your toes. And whenever you're ready, gently open your eyes. All right, I want you to take a moment. Before you do anything else, just notice how you feel. Don't rush it, just simply notice. You may even want to write it down, or you want to just sit in it for a moment. Earlier today, you uncovered the belief that's been shaping how you've carried this part of your life, your responsibility, your circumstance. During the visualization, perhaps another truth began to emerge. Maybe it became words for you to hear, or a feeling, a quiet knowing. Maybe it was something that surprised you. But I'd love you to go back to your piece of paper, your notebook, and write down the words you heard or the truth you experienced when you looked at yourself in the mirror. Give you a moment to write it down. And if nothing came, that's 100% okay. I want you just to simply ask yourself, what do I most need to remember when life feels heavy? What do I most need to remember, or what do I need to remember most when life feels heavy? And just write that down. Whatever feels honest, just write. Now, I want you to look at the words you've written. Your old story has had years, possibly, of practice. This one, this new belief, this new truth deserves practice too. Not just by reading it, but by living it. So this week, I'd love you to keep these words somewhere you will see them. Maybe it's on a sticky note on your mirror. Maybe it's on your phone. Maybe it's by your desk. Maybe it's right beside your bed. But I want you to keep it somewhere where it can gently remind you of who you are becoming and how you can choose a new story to see your life. Then each evening, ask yourself, where did I live this new belief today, this new truth, this new knowing? And it doesn't have to be perfect. Just look for evidence. Maybe today you decide to ask for help. Maybe today you set a boundary. Maybe you decided to rest without apologizing for it. Maybe you accepted support. Maybe you spoke kindly to yourself for the first time in a long time. Or maybe you chose not to carry something that wasn't even yours. Every one of those moments matter because every small choice becomes evidence. Evidence that you're becoming someone who carries life differently, one choice, one day at a time. And today was not about becoming someone new. It was about remembering who you've always been before the weight of the world, before the expectations, before the stories convinced you that there was only one way to carry your life. And while you may not be able to choose every responsibility life gives you, we know that, you can begin questioning the story you've attached to those responsibilities. Sometimes that one question changes everything. Little by little, the weight begins to change. And it's not because life suddenly became easier, but because you stopped believing there was only one way to carry it. So before we finish today, I'd love to leave you with a small gift. I've created a daily reset, a short guided visualization you can return to whenever life feels heavy again, whenever you feel disconnected from yourself, whenever you need that break for you, or whenever you notice yourself slipping back into your old stories. And my hope is that it will help you reconnect with the person you met today, the one in the mirror, the one that has always been there, underneath all the stories and responsibilities, beneath the weight. And before we finish, I would like to leave you with one final question. Who takes care of the strong one? Who takes care of the strong one? My hope is that beginning today, part of that answer becomes you. Thank you with all my heart for spending time with me today. And until next time, please take good care of yourself.